for game two, and it's good to be back home again and play in front of our crowd. And I thought, for the most part, we did what we needed to the first game. Got a lot of people some reps and some action, which is good to see them get on the field. And of course, we want to challenge ourselves to play our best this week against an opponent that, while they didn't win last week, they had a really successful year last year. 9-4, won their bowl game. Coach Rodriguez has been coaching football for a long time. He knows what he's doing. A very, very good coach. And they'll present us problems with the tempo and the type of offense they run. And even on defense, they do a lot of different things, give you a lot of different looks, and try to confuse you. So we've got to prepare well and get ready to play a good game.
Jeff, how satisfying was it to see your team go out there and take care of business from start to finish, especially given the context that during week one there were some Power 5 teams who faced FCS teams and kind of struggled to finish those games?
You know, we did what we were supposed to do, and I think we prepared hard, we practiced well. These guys wanted to go out there and try to put on their best performance. So, yes, it's always important that you do what you're supposed to do and play well, do the small things correctly, and challenge yourself to play your best. And for the most part, I thought we did that for 4 quarters, and now we got to find a way to do it again.
You talked about switching Jaden in the slot. What was it about his skill set, or what did you see from him that made you feel good about putting him in that position?
Well, Jaden has a lot of experience. He's played a lot of football here and at Cincinnati. At Cincinnati, played some slot receivers, so we knew he could do both. We were using him mostly on the outside here, but when Colin went down, he was probably the most veteran we had that was going to be in a rotation with Ja'Cory and Chris on the outside. So to get him on the field as a starter, get all those 3 guys out there, all guys that are 6'2 plus, those are good targets. And he just really has a good feel and a knack for football. And I think, like I said, it's his second year in our offense. He understands it as good as anybody. He's been healthy this year, which last year he was not healthy for the most part. And so I thought he stepped up and did very good. And it was good to I was proud of him. He worked really hard to get on the field and get some action and did a solid job.
And then when it comes to Isaac, for him to be a freshman, have the game he has to play, how much more do you need to, is it just a matter of more games, or what do you kind of need to see from him to kind of get him some more action? You talked about getting the ball more.
Well, Isaac did a really good job, and he's fast, he's quick, he's elusive, he's dangerous with the ball in his hands. He's got some speed that you just really don't coach. Anytime you play a first-year freshman in the game one, you worry about locking up, not knowing all the plays, turning the ball over. But he practices really hard, and his demeanor and his work ethic overcomes a lot of that. I think you'll continue to see him on the field. Obviously, as the season progresses and we're playing more and more teams each and every week, he's going to have to make plays and be a playmaker for us. But I think we felt confident with Maurice and Don being our veterans and understanding exactly what we wanted done. Good solid blockers, good in the running game, good in the passing game, a good understanding of football and the type of competition you're going to see. So we'll continue to work all those running backs and get them all ready. But Isaac does have some game-breaking speed.
Jeff, in special teams, used a couple of kickers. Is that kind of one of those things where Brock has separated himself, but you've got some other guys you wanted to get some reps? And then as far as punt return, Quincy looked really, really fast on that first one, but I know you used Isaac and Jaden back there as well. Is Quincy kind of that guy, at least for right now?
I do think our specialists have worked really hard. There's not a huge drop-off in first and second team at all those categories that you mentioned. Obviously, Brock has a ton of experience, can kick off and kick field goals and punt if we need him to. But the others behind him have improved, and they've stepped up, and we'll utilize all those guys as much as we can. When it comes to returning kicks, I think we got some capable guys, and Quincy obviously is very talented. Sometimes you don't want to risk getting him injured, but he can do some really good things with the ball. Jaden Thompson has felt comfortable back there, especially catching the ball and having a good feel. Isaac just got game-breaking speed and ability. Colin Lacey was back there. He'll get back there once he gets healthy again. So there are some options, and each of them I think can do a really good job for us.
Hey Jeff, just was wondering what your relationship with Rich Rod's like. I think you guys played each other back 2017. Was that like the only interaction you've had? Again, more throughout the past couple of years. Was that?
Well, we definitely played against them in the bowl game my first year at Purdue, and won a close contest. Coach Rodriguez has been coaching a long time. Really was one of the main ones to perfect the spread offense, the ability to use the quarterback as a runner and a passer, to go with great tempo, to hit some plays on you before you lined up, and has been really good at it. And I think now, going against them, there's just a whole lot you got to prepare for. And he understands the game. He gets it. He's been there. He's done that. He knows how to take players and maximize their talent and their potential levels. So we'll have our hands full. This is going to be a well-coached team. It's going to be a hungry team coming off a loss at home that they weren't happy with. They just turned the ball over quite a bit and got down and couldn't overcome it. But if the game's close and they're able to do what they want, which is utilize the quarterback in the run game, then they're very dangerous. So it's important to try to find a way to get a lead and make them probably throw the ball more than they want.
And kind of going back to the running back version of how Isaac played this past week, you mentioned the veteran Jackson. I remember last year, it seemed like that running back group was kind of a breakout surprise of the offense with how successful they were, especially early on in the year. What's made preparation going into these early weeks, these past two seasons we've been here, successful when it comes to that group specifically?
Well, I think Coach Barkley does a great job, and he's played the position. He understands. He's been with me in our offense for a long time. He loves coaching here and representing his hometown, and was proud of our running backs last year. I thought they stepped up, did a great job, and to have two guys drafted what was awesome for our team and for those guys. This room early on, we knew maybe didn't quite have that caliber yet. But they had done a really good job, and they were solid players. And Marisa kind of stood behind those two last year, didn't get as many opportunities, but had a great spring, great fall camp. I think he continued to really do really good things. Don gives us a veteran leader with strength and pop in the backfield, and understands football and can take on and linebackers and block and help us in that regard, and do what he needs to in the running game. And then we got three youngsters, and Keewan and Isaac and Duke, that all have some really good talent. Just got to continue that strength. But they understand what we're doing, and while we want to score points and create explosive plays, when you can run the ball consistently, you're going to eliminate a lot of negative plays. You're going to eventually pop a few. When you hand it off, you're not going to get the ball bad at the line of scrimmage. You're not going to throw an interception. So it's a little safer. And if you're efficient at it, it can open up things in the passing game. But those running backs, we have felt good about them all along. Just didn't maybe have the experience on the field as the last two, and had a strong act to follow. But I think they're moving in the right direction.
Jeff, when you go back and look at the game tape from this past weekend, was there anything that stood out to you more than others, for better or for worse?
Well, I think it confirmed a lot of the things we thought, that you don't really know for sure. I think we do have depth at a lot of positions. I think at certain positions there's not a big drop-off, which is great, and it's going to help our football team. There were definitely playmakers we saw early on that stood out in the game, and then there were others that emerged as well. It was great to see Jaden Thompson do a really good job. It was great to see the young running backs step up and do well. Mark Redmond didn't get here to the summer. It's great to see him make a great catch, and even the other tight ends were efficient and did a good job. I thought the offensive line was solid for the most part, and we played quite a few guys there. And on defense, we knew we had depth, and it showed up because there wasn't a big drop-off when we're rotating guys in and out. So that was good to see, and I thought we were solid on special teams, and that's always important. You got to find a way to gain advantage. I think it just kind of confirmed what we had thought, but you never know for sure, and we'll have to do that more than 1 week against really good opponents to keep confirming that. But it was a good start.
Jeff, Ron, talked in preseason about being able to move Ashton around a little bit. What advantages does that bring, especially when we saw him on third down, kind of moving inside a little bit? What advantages to the defensive line does that bring for you guys?
Well, it's a huge advantage. We have a hard time blocking him in practice, especially when he's been moved around. As this game got going on, we didn't play Ashton a lot in the second half. Kind of sat him down, which I'm sure he didn't like, but we want to keep him healthy and fresh and ready to go, because we were had the game somewhat in command. But man, he's strong, he's quick, his effort is relentless. He can play a lot of things. He's a great leader by example, wants to win, he's a great teammate. And he's got to step up and make plays for us against good opponents if we want to win football games. And, to keep him healthy as long as we can is important because he's really good.
To follow up on the defensive line, Trammell was a guy who got here late. He was obviously picked things up pretty quick. What is it about him, and kind of talk about what he did the other day opposite of that other side?
It was great to see Trammell step in and play the way he did. Yes, he got here late. Didn't even start when fall camp started. Not until after we got going did we kind of get him going, and he was ready to go, and he had to complete some things, which he did. But you know what? Right away, he's twitchy. He's got speed. He's got quickness. He kind of understands it. He's slippery to block. He's not going to be as big as Ashton. He's not as thick, but he's slippery. It's hard to get your hands on him, and he's has a really good understanding of how to play football. He's been a great teammate as well, which has been great to see. Very unselfish, but he's very talented, and I think that D-line position has depth, but definitely those two guys stood out as guys that need to make plays for us every week.
You mentioned Rich Rod being at the forefront of the RPO and faster tempo and all that stuff. What weakness on offense like that? What weakness in the defense are they trying to exploit? Where do you have to hold up the most?
Well, in that type of offense, you're always going to have to account for the quarterback as a runner, which does make things harder. They need an extra blocker. They're taking out an extra defender. A lot of times when you're a defense, you're trying to be +1 in what you're doing in the run game to make sure you have an extra hat. And when he's running the ball, you don't have an extra hat. You got to be really good and sound in where you're at. You mix in the play action off of it. You mix in the tempo of them trying to get plays snap before you're ready and set and get your calls in has always been beneficial for them. The speed of the game can throw you off guard, and that's challenging. What teams have to do to find a way to beat that is you have to find a way to get a lead. You have to find a way to make them throw the ball more than they want, put them in more of a drop-back game, which they're not as efficient at. But if they can do what they want, it presents challenges. And, the techniques you got to use at defensive end with blitzers off the edge when you have all the quarterback pull and quarterback read and quarterback power stuff has to be different. And you got to give them looks that they don't think they're going to see all the time because they'll take advantage of it. And, we've worked really all offseason for the first two games to have to, not knowing what the first team was going to do, but have to defend the quarterback run and the quarterback power and the different things we have to do. We've talked about it. We worked it. It's important that we put it to use this week because they would take advantage if you don't. And, Coach Rodriguez has been doing it a long time. So if he can get in the flow and get things going the way they want and get a lead, then they're at the advantage, and he's very comfortable calling games that way.
I know by this time last week, still couldn't really talk too much about Mario Bruce. Now that he's on the roster, we saw him in minutes. What's it like seeing him get integrated back with the team, and what was the process like?
Well, it's great to have him back on the team. I think he's happy to be here. He's got some good buddies on this team that he's always kept in contact with. He wants to play football. So, getting him back, there were some things we had to go through to get him eligible and to get everything cleared, which didn't happen to the last minute. So he wasn't able to practice a whole lot. I think as we continue to progress through the season, you'll see him out there more and more. He's fast. He's got speed. He's been in our offense before, so even though he's been gone a while, I think we can get him back up to speed. But, we got to, get him some touches as well because I do think, when he knows what to do and he's playing fast, he can be very productive for your team. I think he's eager to get on the field. He understands, hey, this is where I want to be. I feel good around this team, these guys, the coaches here, and he loves this university in town. So I think you'll see him more and more as we progress throughout the season, and hopefully we can see him more this week as well.
For someone kind of in a unique situation like that, what's it like for you as a coach to get him moving and bring him into this offense? Quicker, slower?
Well, you know what? To get him back, he did some good things for us. Sometimes when people leave, it's not like we want people to make a change, but they have to do things that's best for them. So that's what he chose to do. So, having him come back, we knew that this guy can make plays for us. We knew that we had a receiver get injured, so that was good timing. So I think we're happy to get him back on the field. When he's bouncing around with energy and understands what he's doing, I think he can really help us win. I think that his teammates like him. He gets along with all of them. So I think he can be a big addition, but we got to make sure we kind of understand what he's really good at and try to get him the ball those ways.
There's a few cases I can think of in various sports where you've seen guys leave and come back, and most of them have for years, but how much do you have to kind of take into account that these are young people, there's money involved, and, it's a whole different situation for many of us experienced in college with opportunities to go or stay and make decisions. How much do you try and take that into account with a lot of these guys, whatever it is?
Well, we do take that into account. We're probably very forgiving in anything that happens. As far as people making decisions for themselves, yes, it's not like the college days of years ago. So there's a lot of factors that go into people staying and leaving. We understand that. We fully support normally the ones that leave and the ones that stay, and we understand it when it happens. We just have to be ready to move when things happen to help our team. So this is a situation where I guess he felt more comfortable coming back here and getting back on this team. But we don't hold anything against him or anybody that's left. Even if they don't come back, we really don't. We move on. We wish them the best. Half the time we're helping them find a spot if they want to find a spot, and that's just kind of how football works. So that's why the roster change is just going to happen. If you can have a team of veterans that you've developed for 3 or 4 years that never left, that's great. But sometimes when a new coach comes in, there's going to be turnover and change, and that's what happened in year one. So since we already did it once, there's been a lot of guys leave and graduate, so now there's room to move again. And, so I see that slightly settling down, but, there'll always be change, and I just think that it's how the game operates. And normally when people are coming here, as long as we get to talk to them beforehand and know what they're about, they're normally coming here with a purpose and a reason, and we want to help them fulfill their goals.
Jeff, how did the headsets work out as far as the communication? Do you like it now that you've kind of been through a couple practices, I guess, in one game, and kind of how do you use it on defense?
Well, I do think the headset is beneficial and probably should have been in the game a long time ago. The NFL's been doing it for over 30 plus years, even back when I played. The spread teams for a long time didn't want any part of it just because they signal things in, they go fast, and they didn't want to have to change probably. But if you don't want people to steal your signals and you want to be able to run plays that the other team doesn't know, for sure, you use the earpiece. So for us, I thought it worked pretty good the first half. I ain't gonna lie, there was 5 or 6 times I forgot to press the button, so I screwed it up. I'm like, well, why don't you know the play? I just said it like twice. You got all these compartments on your belt buckle, and at first I said, what, maybe I'll just use a walkie-talkie, and they're like, no, it's probably better to press the button. I said, well, I might forget to press it, and I was right. I forgot to press it numerous times. So it took me a while to get used to that. So I did do a great job the first quarter, especially. Second half, believe it or not, when Pierce was in there, I had to call a timeout. I couldn't understand why he couldn't hear me calling the play, but I'm not going to use any names, but it was it was not turned on. So it was not turned on properly. So I thought for sure I knew this thing wasn't making a noise, but we didn't understand that after 2 plays in. So we got the button turned on. So yeah, there were some kinks we got to work through. But in general, it's beneficial. Now, on defense, it's a little hairy. If teams are not huddling, you've got to make sure you get your call in fast. So sometimes we did not use the earpiece. If teams are huddling, it's much easier to use a huddle and get that called in. But for teams that are going fast, you're probably still going to have to signal. For teams that are not huddling and get lined up and set, you're going to have to get in fast, or you're going to have to signal it in. So that's where it gets a little tricky. But teams steal defensive signals. And they can find out what that is if they study it and look at it. So we got to be really cautious that if we can use the earpiece, we want to use it as much as we can. Good, thank you.